Hello everyone, my name is Dylan Hamilton. I am back here again with my level from Escape Simulator. Now previously I have titled it Brothers in Time, but I'm probably going to change it to something silly like Time for Honey or something like that, just to stick with the theme and all that. But since the last time I have added a few things, which is basically me just reworking some of the stuff I've already placed in and that were quite buggy or stuff that was misleading to players. One of the things was I fixed up this little puzzle box right here. I actually made these static instead of a pickup item, so they actually stay in place. I even went ahead and added in, drew out some pictures on the little slidable squares so that the players that are trapped in this cell right here understand what's the meaning behind this little note right here that the other player is going to read out. Even went ahead and added in some Easter eggs like that, just to fit more with the theme and have a little bit of fun with it. I also added in this note right here, which is meant to give players, let players know why they're there, which talks about the ancient Egyptians making the honey, but it's being lost, and it's also meant to act as a hint, since there's this last sentence right here, even brought toast to try the honey with, which is meant to let players know that they're supposed to put the honey on top of the toast once they're done in order to finish out the level. I also went ahead and added this room right here, which is going to be the finish room. Like, once the players are done with the final puzzle room, they're going to be teleported in here, which is going to finish off the level. So, but I also went ahead and started off this room, getting the layout. I'm still trying to figure out the puzzles right here, so I'm going to be working more on that. And this right here is useless as of right now. It's me just trying to test out some stuff and what I can get away with in the level editor and all that. Right now I'm just trying to get like a cannon going. I can actually, I'll test it out real quick just to show the idea, but it's not going to be, yeah, it's still very buggy, but anyways, I do want to go through and recap on a lot of stuff with levels, such as like my intentions with the design, how it's supposed to work, and all that, like some of the set design. So I'm going to be demonstrating that real quick. So once the players start, ideally there's supposed to be two players. They're going to start in this room, and they can look around. And once they look behind them, they can see that there's a teleporter, or not teleporter, a time machine. And they'll find this note, and reading it, they'll then have the idea that the toast is important for what they're trying to get at. So they can pick it up, inspect it, do whatever. Now, when they spawn in this room, if they start exploring, they'll see that dead center in this room is going to be this table with a stone tablet on it. Now, what my intentions were right here is that with it being in the center of the room, it's supposed to lure the players to be the first thing they check, with it being like right in the middle. And from here, they'll find this tablet, which if you see at the top is going to have a hint icon in the name. This is supposed to tell the players, after they inspect it and see that there's some symbols behind it, it's supposed to tell them that some of these tablets are going to be important. Now, directly to their right, they're going to see another stone tablet. So, after seeing this one, placing it right here, they're going to think that this tablet right here is also going to be important. However, they're going to pick it up, and they're going to learn that not every tablet is important. Some of them are just there to be there. To have the players actually look through the room and all that. However, when they pick that up, they're going to see the key right here. They can take that and take it to this chest right here, which will give them a chalice and a scroll along with some gold coins, but those aren't really important. Those are more for just set design purposes. So when inspecting the scroll, however, there's one thing that you can't really do, which is open the scroll, which I hope to do so, but none of the scrolls you can do. You can open them. But when the player inspects the scroll, they can find this little codex right here, which is a symbol which if we look at one of the tablets we found, we can find that there's a triangle right here. We can see that the triangle is in the middle, so we have an idea that, you know, there's going to be more to the code. And the reason why I wanted this symbol to be in the middle of the scroll instead of just like on the side is because I wanted to, for one, to have the players actually inspect it a bit more, and two, it's supposed to kind of make sense with how an actual scroll works. So I'm further testing that idea to see just how easy it is for players to pick up on it. But anyways, come over here, we can find another tablet with another symbol on it. Put that down. And if we come over to the shelf right here, we can find that there's another chalice along with the final tablet being on the bottom shelf. If we look over, there's going to be a 6.5 circle. Now, lining all these up, we can see that there's a triangle, this symbol, I don't know exactly what it's called, and there's a half circle. So going through, we got this symbol, the triangle, back to the the triangle and the half circle. See that 7, 4, 6. So we can then take it over here and input 7, 4, 6. Which can lead to some bugs, as we can see with this stretched out, but I think it's funny. So, for now, until I figure out a way to actually fix that, I'm just going to leave that there. But it's going to open up this table, and we're going to be given more chalices. As well as a ball, which there's also a red ball in this little container right here that players can easily pick up once they explore. Some of these items I want to put out in the room without being locked behind a locking key, because I wanted the players to pick them up and have an idea that some of these are going to be important for later. So for example, the balls, if we come over here to the actual honey, which is placed directly ahead of the player spawn, so to give the players an idea that that is the end goal right there. That's what they're trying to get at. But if we take it over, we can see that there's some bowls. If we hold out the ball, there's going to be some slots there that we can place the ball on. So we can do that. And for right now, that's a little bugged, but it still functions. So, after that, once the players explore a bit more, they'll also find this table with a note on it. And the note's going to have some writing with some words being underlined, and the words are supposed to... The underlined words are to give the player a hint as to how to solve this puzzle. So we see bees will be active from sunrise through sunset, where they will pollinate flowers in the middle of the day. When all is done, their hive will remain dormant through the night. And what's supposed to happen is players are supposed to take their chalices and they can place them all around wherever they want. But they must use this note to figure out where the exact placement is. So, this top one, from sunrise through sunset, is meant to be a tricky sentence. Because as we see here, there's the moon, the sunrise or sunset, and the full-on sun. And then there's some other symbols, such as the flower, the bee, a drop of honey or blood, however you want to interpret that, and a beehive. So, the reason this is tricky is because it says bees will be, since they're active from sunrise through sunset, not only will they be active during this time, but it's supposed to be through the entire day. So they're also going to be active in the middle of the day as well. Put this right there. Flowers, they will pollinate flowers in the middle of the day. So directly at daytime, and their hive will remain dormant through the night. This will solve this puzzle of the room, which would grant the player a ball and yet another note to give them a hint. Their stingers draw blood if you fail to steal their dirty gold treasure. Water will help wash away the punishment made. And this refers to these 3 colored balls right here. So from that, they're supposed to place down whatever appears first in the note, which is blood, red. Red for blood. Gold for gold treasure. And blue for water. It will then open up the honey, or the gate, and even does some cool effect with this fire right here. Now, what players are supposed to do if they read this note from earlier is that they're supposed to put the honey on top of the bread or the toast. Do that, and adds like a silly combination right there. And we can then access the button. Now, this will teleport the players to the next room. However, it will teleport one at a time. So, one player, the first player that presses the button will teleport here. The second player will teleport to the second room. Once both players teleport over here, they don't need to have anything from the previous room, so they're fine to just look around. Once this player looks, they'll find that there's some stuff that they can immediately interact with, such as if they look at the scratches on the wall, they can figure out that they can slide it and be exposed to this board right here, which has the back of a card, which lets the player know that they're supposed to be placing cards right here, especially since there's like a plethora around the level or the cell. Once they pick this up, they'll find a note where it talks about this cellmate writing about the other cellmate over here, saying that he recites a kind of a poem, saying a coyote's trying to find his friend. He came across a lone frog, then 3 vultures, and finally found another coyote. Now what that's supposed to do is that's supposed to let this player know that they can pick up this box and correlate the symbols with the amount that shows up in the poem. And there's another trick in the poem where it talks about a lone frog, 3 vultures, and a coyote looking for his friend. So ideally, it's supposed to trick the players into thinking that, oh, it's talking about he finds one other coyote. However, since he's a coyote himself, it's supposed to be 2. And that opens up this little drawer right here, which brings out a block of wood and a knife, which is supposed to be like a whittling kit. So if we take both, we can then place this down and hopefully not cause bugs. But from here we can see that there's like bricks around the room, and there's going to be one that's outlined, so we then place that, and we now have buttons. So I automatically kind of did the puzzle, which is right here. However, without this player won't be able to know exactly what the combination is, but there's also going to be a thing that happens over here if they look around, to where that poster that was on the wall originally fell, and they're going to see a series of numbers. Now, they're going to relay the series of numbers to this guy over here, which would, by now, would see that there's a bunch of colored numbers around. And once they have the idea, or once they tell them what this number is, it's going to be green, red, blue, yellow. It's going to be 3, 8, 4, 1. After having that code, we're going to put it in here. 3, 8, 4, 1. Now there's some stuff in this room to indicate that the person that was in the cell likes to draw or likes to write because they have the notebook and all that. So they'll see this note, which will then have the corresponding bricks on it, and lets them know. And there's also going to be an ink bottle for more like storytelling purposes. But having that, this player will now be able to do this little puzzle right here. This is me going back and forth, so bring this over, and we can now press the button, which would bring us to this, or allows this brick right here to open to expose a key. Now, if we look under this bed, there's going to be this treasure chest right here that you can use the key on. It'll open and reveal a flux capacitor and another note. Now, some storytelling stuff that went on is supposed to indicate that this person right here that was in the cell previously was from the future. And all that, and they're back here like helping people that are going through time for some reason. But they'll see that it talks about Henry Fargo. He was a notorious cowboy, and his end was guaranteed when he played the Dead Man's Hand. Now, if you don't know what the Dead Man's Hand is, it's a hand in an infamous hand of 8 of clubs, or clubs of 8 and ace. Okay. Okay. It's supposed to be 4 cards: an ace of clubs, an 8 of clubs, and a ace of spades, and 8 of spades. So, look through here. You can find the 8. It's right here. We can also find the ace. Looking a bit more, we can find the 8. So if we just sift through the cards. And the last card right here is supposed to tell more storytelling purposes. Kind of like narrative. So if you drag it right, this pillow, you'll find that the ace of spades is hidden underneath right underneath, which is supposed to indicate that the person in this room was sentenced to death, basically, by hanging. So, kind of a dark narrative plot right there, but something I thought was a little bit clever. So, place these on in no particular order. Will then be granted a pen, which we can use along with this bobby or paper clip right here to open up the jail cell door. And now we're free. So if we then look around, you can then see that there's a note right here where it talks about we need to let the mayor know that they can trust us with the evidence locker, and the key is locked away until everything is cleaned. Yes, that means hats. And it's made by Tiny Tim. So, looking around, we can see that there's a bunch of stuff scattered. And I even placed one of the furnace tools right here as to let the player know, like, after they read the note, that they're supposed to pick this up and place it back where it goes. They can do the same with all the others. Now, I have also placed this handcuff right here on the rack as a way of kind of like subtly telling the player that the handcuffs go right here, since there's already one on there. So if they look around, they'll find handcuffs. Even one on the floor, which is to further indicate that they need to clean them up. Place them right there. And finally, the note talks about hats. So if we bring the hat over to here, we'll find that there's a drawer. Now, once the player's done all this, there's going to be some notes hanging around this cell that this player can find. There's gonna be one over there, another under the bed, and one right there. They're not notes, they're drawings. And essentially, I'll show it off here in a bit because I don't want to go through the entire process again. Essentially, what's going to happen is that that player would line up these notes or these drawings to get a code that they can then use once the player relays it to open up this safe or this lock right here. It then opens the key or opens up the lock to the key, which they can bring over to the evidence locker, which they can find a revolver, but it's also just another useless item. Essentially what they want is this dynamite. They bring the dynamite over here, and back on the desk they can find a lighter. Once they light it, they can bring it over to have just a little cool sequence going on, which isn't safe for this close quarters, but not a lot in this level is supposed to make sense. But going back to what I said earlier about the notes. So once the player lines them up right here, they can then see that they all, like, the drawings line up together to form the code. Anyways, at this point, this player must have all of these ones done, or all of their puzzles done. Because what they do is they take the flux capacitor over to this broken one. They bring it to the side and they replace it with the new one, which then activates the button, which will allow them to finish off the level. If they stay here, they can then look around the room. I made sure to expand out the entire trigger box so that the players can look around this room and probably find some buttons that will allow them to go back and look around the other rooms if they wanted to. But as far as what I have, that has been my intentions with this level and making it. I'm not quite finished with it yet, as we can see that there's this room right over here, and I'm still testing out some stuff. But until the next update, thank you for watching.